Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Gobbler Effect, episode number 2 here on the YouTube channel in this series. I'm Chris Pierce, joined with me again, Head Coach Joey Mullen. Coach, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing tonight, Chris?
I'm doing good. An exciting weekend last week. Coming off, well, it's not really a victory Monday. It's more like a victory Thursday. Almost a good full week since your last win against Delaware. A big win. In fact, yeah, let's start. Last weekend, you guys split the series against Delaware. Let's start with Friday. You guys lost to the Blue Hens. You guys, what do you think happened? I'm just gonna start with that.
I think we've kind of had a tendency a little bit this year because we're so young to sometimes buckle under a little adversity. I think it's something some of these younger guys are learning to deal with, learning to play through. It's a big jump from what they played last year. So I think we kind of dug ourselves into a hole to start the game, and then we did a good job of battling back to tie the game up. And then one little thing went wrong, and we kind of just panicked a little bit and kind of got away from us in the third.
You said that you guys battled back. What were some of the adjustments or things said in that locker room to get the guys back into it during that first intermission?
Just basically being consistent. I think that's been our biggest thing right now is consistency. We have stretches during periods where we're really, really good, and then stretches where it looks like we've never played before. So perks of club hockey, only getting those two practices a week. It's hard to be super consistent. So we're putting in the work when we get it, and hopefully we have another consistent effort tomorrow night.
Well, talking about consistency on Saturday night, you guys, it was a complete 180 turn. You guys shutting out the Blue Hens in the second and third period. Ian Key rock solid there for you. What was decision to have Key start on back-to-back nights?
Me and Dave talked about it. It's hard to pick a goalie, especially in a 2-3 game weekend, who's going to start what. We just felt like I didn't feel like Ian played bad Friday night. I didn't think he was spectacular like he's been in some other games, but we figured we'd give him a shot. Shane's had a bit of a tough start this year, so I want to put him in a good spot to start building some confidence back with him. So I think you'll see him in the net pretty soon. We're pretty confident. He had a big year for us last year as a freshman, so coming into his second year, sometimes they hit a sophomore slump. So we're going to bring him along a little slower this year, get him confident in practice, and get both of them rolling. That'll be nice.
Yeah, and Key's having a fantastic start to the season, 4-1 record. He had similar posted stats last season early on, but then kind of slumped his way through the rest of the season. How do you plan on using him going forward through the rest of the season, knowing that that could happen again?
I think we got to manage their minutes, both of them. I mean, they're both relatively young. Ian's freshman year, he didn't play a whole lot because we had three senior goalies. So they're both basically in their second full year of taking the net. So we'll try to manage their minutes. We try to keep them pretty light in practice as much as we can. I keep a pretty constant communication with them to make sure they're feeling all right. If they need maintenance days, if they need to take a lighter practice another, um, just stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, we'll shift from the goalkeeping to the offense, who exploded for 4 goals against the Blue Hens on Saturday night. Do you think this is the start of a momentum push for the Hokies?
I think so. We had a pretty good meeting before Saturday's game. Kind of challenged them to see what kind of team they wanted to be going forward this year. If they wanted to be like an every other game team, or they want to be consistent every year. And didn't really want verbal answers. I wanted answers on the ice. And I thought it was a slow start to the game. We went down 2-0 Saturday, but then they just rolled back with four unanswered goals. So they kind of answered all the questions I had. So they've kind of set the bar for the rest of the year. So that's really it's on them what they want to do.
Yeah, and uh, adding on to that, they were attacking the net a lot, putting up 40 shots against the Blue Hens on Saturday night. Is that something you hope to see more of this coming weekend and ongoing throughout the season?
Yeah, I mean, I've never been a coach that gets mad about a guy taking a shot. So I think the more the better, especially you catch a team coming in from a 5 hour road trip, right off the bus, right onto the ice. You got some bus legs, a little mental fatigue sometimes. So if you can jump on them early and make them work early, it can pay off big time at the end of the game.
Gotcha. And how do you expect this team's going on with the momentum talk? How do you expect this team's momentum to grow each week?
I think the chemistry is really getting there. We pretty much have everybody back in the lineup. We're waiting on one more guy. He'll be back next weekend. He's got a bit of a jaw injury. So once we get there, keep the lines pretty consistent. We haven't shuffled them too much other than dealing with some injuries. We're definitely deeper up front this year than we were the past couple years. We can pretty much roll four lines against most teams, which makes it easy on everybody. Tough on some other teams too that don't have that luxury all the time.
Yeah. I was gonna go in later on that with the lines, but I'll just ask it now. I mean, having the set combination of lines is pretty consistent throughout so far that you've set up. Do you feel you can insert a guy anywhere in the lineup and he'll produce with that line? Do you feel confident enough in that?
I think we have three really good, solid lines, and I have another handful of guys that I could probably put on any line and they'll be fine, and you won't see much drop off, if any at all. So that's nice, especially some of the young kids. I'll single one out like you and Andrew has been a guy that's played on the first, second, third, and fourth line this year in multiple games, and the kid can play a role. He does it well, doesn't complain, does a good job. I think he's really found his game here so far. He's been close a lot in the first like 6 games. I think once he gets his first one, that's just going to open up for him.
Yeah. He's been spectacular this season. One of the outstanding rookies for your team. One of the many outstanding rookies. And now looking ahead to tomorrow night, West Virginia's coming into town. Sort of like a rivalry, I guess you could say. What is the goal for you guys?
I think we jump on him early. I watched a few of their games from last weekend. They're a pretty typical West Virginia team. They're hardworking. They're not going to stop. They work for 60 minutes. So if we can jump on them early and kind of make them chase the game, I think it'll play to our advantage. It'll open things up for us. Playing physical and we stay out of the box, we should have hopefully a good result.
And you guys have had the upper hand against West Virginia the past couple years, winning 6 out of the past 8 matchups. How do you plan on keeping that streak going of continuing to win?
I think the games that we lost to them, we got in penalty trouble. So a lot of teams you get in penalty trouble, they're going to make you pay on the power play. So if we can play them 5-on-5, I think we can take advantage of their defensemen down low, and I think that's where we have a big advantage. We're not overly big, but we're fast and we're physical. Even the small guys love to hit. So you get in early on their defensemen, start hitting them, they start turning pucks over. It's going to create a lot of good chances down low for us.
And going on about it, the offensive side, Gavin Peduzzi's coming to this game. In 5 career games, he scored 4 goals against the Mountaineers. What is your game plan for him?
We like to get Doozy in as many good spots as possible. I mean, he's come in as a freshman. He's I think 7 points away from 100 career points in his junior year.
5 points, I believe.
Is it five now?
It is 5. He's tied for
Okay.
10 all time.
Okay, so he's five now, so that's good. He's probably going to end up being the fastest player ever to 100 attack. He's got, I think, 2 more years after this. He's a 5 year kid, so I mean, he's definitely going to probably break the all time record if he stays on pace. Cam Kazai's come in this year and really, I think, made it a little easy on him. And then adding Matt Tulo to that line has really brought like a physical element to that line, which I think last year he kind of didn't have a little bit. So we got a guy that'll go to the net, go to the corners, really physical. So it makes it easier on Doozy. It opens up some spots for him that he didn't always get. And now he's kind of the leader on that line. He played with Miles Walther and Nick Massaro for 2 years, who were top 10 all time point scorers. So he kind of played a little bit of a backseat to those guys. So now he's the front and center of that. So I think he's enjoying it.
And you mentioned how, each set of each individual player has their own skill. Uh, do you, let me rephrase this. Do you, what is the relationship between the players and the coaches on this team? How much trust do the coaches have in the players to perform game in and game out?
I think we trust them 100%. Like I know what I'm pretty much going to get from everybody, just from the work and practice. Like practices this year have been tough. They've been intense. We've had a couple close calls and a few scraps in practice between some really good friends. So everybody's kind of fighting for their spot this year, and it just makes it easier to put them out in a game because you know you're going to get 100% from them because there's a guy behind them that could play in their spot.
Yep. And since we won't be here with the Gobbler Effect next weekend, there is the showcase up well to the west of us in Louisville. It's a big one. You guys play Indiana, Louisville, and Kentucky, three tough teams. What is your expectations with this road trip in this tournament?
I think this coming up weekend will be kind of show us what we are as a team. You're getting three national contenders in 3 days on the road. It's fun. We were out there 2 years ago. It was fun. 2 years ago, we were a bit at disadvantage. We had a lot of guys that weren't allowed to play that weekend. So this year we're going with a full team, so it should be a little different results. We're hoping. We went 1-2 out there 2 years ago, so we're going with the mindset that we're there for 3 wins. As long as we play hard and stay out of the box, that's the biggest thing for us.
Yeah, and similar, and on the other side, similar to last season, where you guys started off playing good hockey until the showcase, where after that you lost your last year, you lost the next 5 games. How do you plan on preventing that from happening with the ACC tournament coming up in early November?
I think we have a good group of leaders on this team between the juniors and the seniors. I think they've been through a lot. They've had the COVID year, they've had some down years, they had a regional opportunity taken away from them from a mistake from a kid. So I think they kind of understand where they're at in their career and what they want to do and how they want to end it. So I don't think even if for some reason we go out to Louisville and go 0-3, I don't think that's going to be a deterrent for the rest of the year. I think they'll be back to work the next week. They'll be ready to go and ready to get some wins.
And last question, you guys faced Indiana and Louisville at the Star City Showcase last year, right here in Roanoke, but you didn't face Kentucky. What are your expectations for the Wildcats?
So we haven't played Kentucky in a couple years. I think we played them. We played them 2 years ago in Louisville. Played a really tight game with them. I think we lost like it was either 4-3 or 5-3. That was a weird game out there. We started a game in one rink. The glass broke as we tied the game up and had to shift to another rink in the middle of the game and kind of lost a little bit of that momentum. They're a good team. Uh, their coach TP, he's got a good program out there. He's really done a lot and built it well. They get a lot of good kids in. We end up recruiting probably a lot of the same kids.
Mhm.
I know there's a couple kids that we recruited on their team now. I'm sure they've probably recruited some of the kids that are on our team. So it should be a fun one. They're a pretty high scoring offense, but they can also play like a low scoring game. I mean, they split with NC State and UNC a few weeks ago in North Carolina. So I think in club hockey, it's a lot of it is which team shows up which night,
Mhm.
and then it's hard to tell because they're young college kids, so you never really know. You just kind of stay with it and push them, and hopefully they show up every night.
Yeah. Well, that will do it for the second episode of the Gobbler Effect. Coach, thank you for coming on, and let's get ready for tomorrow, a big one against West Virginia.
Yeah, man, we're ready.
All right, folks. I'm Chris Pierce. That's head coach Joey Mullen. Until next, well, until the 26th, well, 2 weeks away. We'll see you next time here on the Gobbler Effect. Good night.